G'day folks, and welcome to Great Chesterford Junction Model Railway, and this is the update for November 2022. Well, we've got a few things done since the last update, and I'll take you through those in sequence pretty much as they happened, so we'll have a look at that now. Last time I had been working on this area above the tunnels, the hill area, and at that stage I think I mentioned about doing some fencing and so on. So the fencing now is done. It extends across here, and this was to disguise a join, which was, as I mentioned, suggested by Pete on platform 1. I've also put some undergrowth here next to the fence, which, you know, you can't really see the join anymore. And the fence extends down here at this stage. I might take it further than that, down to the engine shed. But it also climbs up sort of halfway up the hill here, and then makes a right angle bend and goes up across the top of the tunnels. And if I can zoom in a bit, we'll just go over to that area over there. It actually goes down through the trees, as you can see over here and down here, and down to the top of the tunnels. Yeah, so we've come down from the top of the tunnels down the hill to where there's a little brown and sort of blackish patch there now. There's going to be a signal box placed in there, so I've still got to build that, so that's why it's not there. So yeah, so we're pretty much done with fences, almost there. The area I started working on then was behind the station here. This was just a blank flat white area. And so I've crafted a hill out of polystyrene again, sort of built it up gradually and covered it in plaster, the usual method, and then static grass on there. And if we zoom in again, we can sort of have a closer look at that. And that sort of, it doesn't quite complete the area. I still think it needs some more treatment in the foreground here, behind the fence and everything. But while I was there, I also made extra trees. So these trees were all homemade by the usual method as described before, and it sort of continues the line all the way up the hill there now. So yeah, this area is looking a lot better, a lot more finished than it used to before. So yeah, that's pretty good. I sort of intended to move on to the signal box next, and I'm going to do that as a project of a night, inside at night instead of being out here, but I haven't got around to it yet, so we'll just have to wait for that one. The next stage then was to get myself sorted out over here on Bamford, and you can see up there on the top of the hill is a ruined castle. I decided I wanted a castle in that corner over there, and I've been thinking about that for a long time, and because I've got a castle over the other side here behind Great Chesterford Junction Station, and although that's only a printed background, I think that's Warwick Castle actually. Yeah, I thought, well, it's going to look a bit weird if I've got two major sort of castles in the one area pretty close by. So I thought, why not do a ruined castle? And it's I think it came up rather well, and the way that was done, obviously, the first thing to do was make this hill, and the hill rises up quite high in the corner there, and extends around here to the start of the station area, which is around this area here. And you can see, if you remember from the last video, I had lift out panels along here. I decided, I had 3 there, I decided to turn it into 2. So this join here is the short one, and then there's 2 small ones in there that have been joined together to form one panel. I thought it's going to be easier than lifting out 3 individual panels and having 2 joins in there. So the hill was built up out of polystyrene as usual, and that's the same method I've used for a lot of scenery. And then it was covered with plaster, and the plaster was coloured as usual with I've been saying burnt sienna in the past. It's actually burnt umber. Although the colours vary so much over different brands, it doesn't really matter. Brown, let's say brown, and there was some black added into it as well. And sort of not really thinking too seriously about it, I thought I'd go ahead and make this ruined castle. And then when I put it in place, and I started looking at the colour of the, especially the rock face here, which I decided to leave a bit of rock exposed down here because I thought, well, grass is not going to grow horizontal really, and I had a sort of a brown rock face there, and I thought, well, actually that should really match the colour of the stone in the castle, so I changed the colour of that to suit. So initially I thought I would try and make this ruined castle out of modelling clay. I've got some modelling clay here that I've had for a while, and I thought it'd be good to use that up. However, I did an experiment one night and just rolled out some modelling clay fairly thin and stuck it onto some polystyrene, and it stuck terrific to it. And I tried putting sort of courses of stone into the modelling clay with various little tools I've got here, and I wasn't really happy with the results I was getting, because I think I need a certain level of skill or finesse to actually do it justice and make it look really nice. So I thought, okay, how else can I do this? And so what I did was I've got stacks of polystyrene here that I've been collecting for years. I had some polystyrene sheets that were 16 millimeters thick, and or 4 scale feet. And I thought, well, a castle has got to have pretty thick walls, so I thought if I use 2 of those, that gives me 32 millimeters. That's 8 feet. I've since learned, since I've built this, that some of the castles had walls that were 15 feet thick. But anyway, this will do. So anyway, I decided to use this polystyrene, and I thought, well, how am I going to work on this to make it look as though it's made from stone and is laid in sort of layers and has courses and all that sort of thing. So what I did was I used my soldering iron with a fine tip to go lightly over the flat sheets, and created these stone courses, and yeah, and it came out rather well. So I continued on with it, and with the 2 sheets being stuck together back to back, you could create a difference. You could make the sheet that's stuck on the back say smaller, or part of it missing, so it looks like part of the wall is missing at the back. It's a bit hard to describe that. And around the archways in the entrance here, I cut the actual arch shape out with a very sharp knife, and then to get the recessed edge there, I've just got the soldering iron, went lightly across it, and I've got that recessed edge there. And of course it was sprayed then with a base colour of black, because I don't know if you've tried painting polystyrene with a brush, and it's very hard to get into all the little nooks and crannies. So it was sprayed with an airbrush, black as a base colour, and then when that was dry, I've gone over the whole surface with various shades of pastels to create this stone look and weathered look. The white is common on some of these stones. If you do your research and have a look around, I don't know whether it's something leaching out of the stone, but yeah, and I've got a bit of green in the stone there. There's a bit of brown, grey, a bit of black. There's a bit of everything in there to achieve this weathered look. And of course, when I'd got my walls done, I decided that I would stick it on to the polystyrene, but then I thought, well, actually a castle will have like a cobblestone courtyard, so I started to work out a way to do cobblestones in the surface of the polystyrene hill, because I'd created a nice flat surface there to put the castle onto. And so I went back to my soldering iron, and all I did was I had some brass tube that I've had for a long time, and it was a nice fit over the tip of the iron, a tight fit. So I just used that over the tip of the iron, and then held the iron vertically to the polystyrene and started doing these light courses of cobblestones. which was all given the same treatment afterwards as well. It was sprayed, etc., and then worked on with some pastels and so on to achieve the effect of a cobbled courtyard. And there's also some flagstones in there and the odd trench here and there. So, and it extends out to the front of the castle, and you can see at the front there, it's come outside there. From there, we started to do the static grass. Actually, that was next. But before that, I created like a gravel pathway that extends down the hill towards the station area. And there's going to be fences on this hill as well, and a lot more. Well, there's got to be trees made and undergrowth and all that sort of thing to sort of start blending it into the background, although it's not too bad at the moment. It looks pretty good. After that, I've sort of started looking seriously at Bamford Station itself, and you might notice now that we've got this short ramp here at the start of the platform. Before we had a long skinny piece that came out right out to here, where you can see the board, and that's where it used to come to. So it wouldn't even be a third actually of its length that it was before. However, there was this platform, when it finished here, it had a vertical drop, and there was something about it, I felt it just didn't suit this overall scene. And it was good in one way, that it would allow me to get 5-coach trains up here. However, when you look at a 5-coach train going through Little Bardfield on the other side of the wall, I can only get 3 coaches at the platform because it's a short platform. And I thought, well, it would make more sense if this platform was shorter, and I ran shorter trains up here. After all, it is a branch line, it's not a main line. So anyway, I took this piece off, shaved it down, cut it down to get this angle on it, and reshaped it and everything. I've just put a coat of acrylic on it for the moment, because the whole station's going to get a bit of a treatment here. And so as we move around, I've got some wagons and so on over here. Let's see if we can look at this properly. Right, I've just pulled those wagons and push-pull service out of the way there, and we'll zoom in a bit more. So at the moment, okay, nothing fancy folks, we've got a couple of pieces of timber there, and what the intention is here is to create a narrow platform and have a loading dock over here. Now at this end here, where it meets the scenery, I intend to have a warehouse here, which will probably be about that long. 2-story warehouse, still got to build that. Maybe with its own little platform facing the track here, and then where that ends, we'll have a wider, deeper platform that extends up here to just behind the station, and this will be a loading dock. There'll be a wall against there, and it'll be a loading dock. So if we take these buildings away just for the moment, I've also added in a base for the town, which is going to be up here, and you can see it's going to go all the way up to the end of the board. At the moment I've got my terrace cottages up here just to get them out of the way, but that also gives you an idea of what it might look like. Yes, if we replace these low relief terrace cottages with some shops, etc., that's what's going to go along this board. And the town will end about here. There'll be a wall across here to stop the townspeople coming along and taking a leap off onto the track if they want to. And so we'll have a wall here, and we'll have some industrial gates here, which will lead onto the loading bay, and will give access from the town to the loading bay. There will be a goods shed here. This is just my removable goods shed from Great Chesterford Junction. I've just put it here to see how it looks. And we'll probably have a coal merchant here, and there will be a roadway running along here off into nowhere. But to indicate that traffic comes in this way to load up at the goods warehouse, the goods shed I should say, or to pick up coal from the coal merchant. Yeah, so that's the plan. Oh, the other thing that's new in here is that I've added a couple of extra lights. They're just sort of what would you call them? Like a desk lamp actually, but they were designed to go on a wall, and I got them from our local Kmart and fitted them into the ceiling here. And the reason I've got one there and I've got one over this other side up there, and that one is aiming down into the corner where Great Chesterford Junction is, and of course at the moment the other one, the right hand one, is aiming over towards the castle. Without those lights on, I was getting a sort of a dark patch in those corners because my fluoros don't really extend far enough to sort of light those areas properly. So that's made a bit of a difference in here. So much so that I don't even notice it anymore. Yeah, so at least we'll be able to see things better in here when we're operating. So that's it for the moment, folks. Oh, by the way, I should point out that I've called the castle Ravencourt Castle. I've used some of the letters from my name, except for the U. There's no U in my Christian name and my middle name or my surname, but the other letters are all in there in various forms. So I've jumbled the letters up and I've come up with Ravencourt. So it's Ravencourt Ruined Castle. So it's kind of a spooky name, and let's face it, it's kind of a spooky looking castle. Just wait till we turn the lights out in here and we have some nighttime running, and I've got a little spotlight on the front of the castle. Be nice to even have a ghost in there, I suppose, wouldn't it? Anyway, we'll see about that. So I tell you what, you take it easy and I'll catch up with you next time. Cheers. Gormo.